If watching one movie still means grabbing three different remotes, changing one input, missing another, and then asking, wait, why is there still no sound? Yeah, that gets old fast. But this little thing might be the first remote in a long time that actually makes that mess feel fixable. This is the SofaBaton X2, and if you saw my X1S review before, well, this is the version that finally closes a bunch of those gaps. The real life win is simple. One remote, less explaining, less remote juggling, less of that who changed the input chaos. And right away, three things matter. First, the touchscreen. That means faster access to activities and number keys instead of fighting that older scroll style control. Second, the built-in IR blaster in the remote itself. So if the hub misses that one stubborn box, you can just point the remote like a normal human and move on. Third, the charging dock. Sounds small, I know, but when the remote has a real home and stays charged, you stop losing it in the couch and you stop picking it up dead. That changes daily use way more than it sounds. When I pulled this out of the box, the first thing I noticed was the feel. The X1S felt fine. This feels like the grown-up version. In the box you get the remote, the charging dock, the hub, IR extenders, the cables, and the power bricks. So you're not opening it and then realizing, oh great, now I need a bunch of extra stuff before this thing even works. And the remote itself, it feels premium. Metal body, cleaner shape, more weight in the hand. The dock looks good too, even if I do wish it felt a little heavier. Still, first reaction was easy. This looks like a serious remote, not some cheap backup remote that lives in a drawer. Now the nerdy part, but in normal words. The X2 works with IR, Bluetooth, Wi-Fi, and Home Assistant. So this is not just for a TV. It is trying to be the brain for your whole setup. The remote is about 205 millimeters tall, 50 millimeters wide, 30 millimeters thick, and it weighs about 170 grams. So yes, it is bigger and heavier than a basic TV remote, but I actually like that. That extra heft is actually a good thing here. It feels solid, not toy-like. You get the screen up top, real buttons where they still matter, charging pins on the bottom for the dock, and USB-C if you want to plug it in directly. The hub also has ports for the IR emitters, and that matters in real life because this is how you control gear inside a cabinet without doing weird door open door close tricks every time you want to watch something. Battery life is one of those specs that sound boring until your remote dies on a movie night. SofaBaton says that the battery is 1050 milliamp hours and can last up to 45 days with up to 50% charge in about 30 minutes. In plain English, that means it should be fine for normal use. But this is also exactly why the dock matters. The screen is bright, the remote does more, and this is the kind of product you want to drop back on the charger when you're done. No stress, just put it back and keep moving. Now for the part that actually matters. How does it work when real life gets messy? Because this is where remotes like this usually fall apart. The first fail point is hidden gear. A lot of universal remotes look smart until one box inside a cabinet misses the power command. Then your whole setup is off. Here, the X2 gives you more ways around that. The hub can blast IR, the included extenders can help with gear that sits out of sight, and now the remote itself has IR too. That's a big deal. It means if one device is being stubborn, you have a backup plan right in your hand. The second fill point is family use, and this is huge. Most universal remotes are really one-person remotes. The person who set it up understands it. Everyone else just presses random buttons and hopes for the best. The X2 is better here because once the activities are tuned, it gets simple. Swipe into the thing you want to do, like Apple TV or Xbox, and it handles the power and input steps for you. The real proof moment for me was my own setup, and why I like this thing so much is because this is not a simple one TV kind of room I've got here. I've got a Samsung TV, a Zidoo media player, an Arvolution media player, a projector screen, the XGIMI Horizon 20 Max, a FeinTech eARC extractor, complete Sonos surround system, and even smart blinds in the room. And the reason the FeinTech matters is because I'm running both the TV and the projector, while my Sonos surround system and media players are all fighting for that one HDMI path. So normally a setup like this means remote chaos. One remote for the TV, one for the projector, one for the media player, and another for the FeinTech if you want to switch between inputs. And that's why I always have these moments where I sit down and I'm like, okay, wait, which remote do I even need right now? This is where this thing finally made sense to me because With the X2, I can bring that whole room together under one controller. I'm not bouncing between remotes just to watch a movie. I'm not explaining to somebody else which remote turns on what, which one changes the input, and which one is only there because of the projector setup. It all becomes way more simple, and for me, that was the big click. Not just it works, but that it takes the whole setup to a whole new level. When you go from a full table full of remotes and workarounds to one remote that actually runs the room, that is when this stops feeling like a fun gadget and starts feeling like the fix. I also like the IR coverage. This is one of those engineering details that sounds small until it saves you. Hub IR, remote IR, and extenders together give you way more control over weird rooms and tricky gear. The payoff here is less babysitting, less walking over to a cabinet, less pressing power twice and hoping that something wakes up. Another thing I like is that this remote actually understands real homes now, not just tech demos. If you use Home Assistant like me, you can tie buttons to automations like lights or other smart actions. That is super cool. But even without going that deep, just having one remote that turns the right thing on and off in the right order makes the room feel way more normal. The payoff is that other people in the house can use it too, and that's the whole point. But there are a couple of things to think about before you buy. The big one is setup. And again, once it's dialed in, it can be really smooth. But the road to get there is not totally beginner proof yet. You may need to test a few things. You may need to move the hub if one device is acting weird. The second thing is if you already own the X1S and it works fine for you, the X2 is more of a smart upgrade than a must-buy panic move. Now let's talk money. At the time of me filming this, the US prices is $329.99 and the EU prices I found is 399 euros. I'll put the US links and the EU links in the description below. And very honestly, this is not a cheap remote. This is a premium remote money, but it also does premium remote stuff. So my take is simple. It is worth it if you want one cleaner controller for a real TV or home theater setup, especially if the X1S left you wanting a touchscreen. If you want to check it out or learn more, the links are down below. My name is Ino. Thanks for watching and I'm out.